Good afternoon. It is Sunday around 5:30. I just got home from work, July 3rd. It is absolutely beautiful out. I'm going to take a walk here in North Morro Bay up to A Beach, and then I'm going to walk through the Cloisters, or the old Cloisters neighborhood, and back home. That's our backdrop right there. This hill. But I got some sad news to report. Our 13-year-old lab, Dooley, who's been on a lot of these videos, passed away Wednesday morning around just a little after 6 a.m. It was just out of the blue, crazy. We had, actually I'm gonna turn this around and I'll talk. So Tuesday, as most people know, there was a huge earthquake off of Russia, and there was a tsunami warnings for the whole west coast. We actually got to an advisory, which is just below warning. Warning, I believe, means that something's going to hit. Advisory is the water is going to rise. There could be some currents. So anyways, we're right on the coast, and my mom was in Cambria, about 13 miles north, and she's kind of on a little bluff hill. So there was like warnings about packing a bag, and if you're along the coast to get to higher ground. So we decided just to pack a bag and head over to my mom's house and just see what happens, watch the news. So it was about 8:15, 8:20. We packed a bag. We got the carrier for the cat out, and Dooley, for about half hour, 45 minutes before that, he had been getting in our face, barking, and it usually means he wants a second scoop of food or he wants to go on a walk, and he hadn't gone on a walk yet because we were watching the news, seeing what was going on, and I don't think he'd had his second scoop yet. So I had just started like grilling up some steaks, and we stopped that, put them in the fridge, and we got the bags packed, and we were standing in the kitchen, me and Monica, and Monica just says to me, "What's wrong with Dooley?" And I look over, and he was standing by the door staring at us, and he kind of looked down, and then I thought it was his front leg, I don't remember. Monica said it was his back leg, just kind of stiffened up and stuck straight out. And then he did this yelp bark and just collapsed and went into a grand mal seizure. So I went down there, I was holding his head and just trying to time it to see how long it would last. And it was probably about, it was over 2 minutes. It was a really long one. And, how's it going? And he was biting his tongue, he urinated. And like I said, it was a really long one. And when it finally stopped, his post-ictal phase, he was super confused. His back legs weren't working. He was trying to stand up and he wanted to go outside. So I kind of held his back and got him out to the front yard, and he started being able to use them, but they were weak. And then he was kind of trying to run, but he couldn't. So after about 10-15 minutes, he settled down and was acting fairly normal, a little confused, but he was weak. But we got him into the car, which was really difficult because his back legs, he was like dead weight, and he's about 115 pounds. Got him into the truck, drove it to my mom's, takes about 15 minutes, and he got out of the car and he was walking fine. He was acting totally normal. We put his bed in my mom's living room. He laid down. He even was hungry. He got up. We fed him. We were there until about like 12:30, 12:45, and nothing really hit in Hawaii, so we were pretty sure we were good. So got him in the car, came home, and about 10 minutes after we got home, he goes into another grand mal. And this one was even worse. It went on longer. So we just try to keep him comfortable. we weren't sure what to do. I just wanted to kind of wait it out and see. He came back to again, but we stayed up with him in the living room, get him on his bed and just try to let him sleep. And then about 4 a.m. he had a third one. So then we called the emergency vet in Atascadero, which is about 25 minutes, 30 minute drive maybe over the hill. And they said definitely bring him in because there's a considered cluster seizures. So I start getting his harness on him and he's weak. He has another one as we get him out in the front yard. So now we're on his fourth one. And it was awful. He bit his tongue. It's like the second or third time he bit his tongue. And then he was so weak, we couldn't get him lifted because he was just like a big sack of 115 pounds. He was not moving at all. We rolled him in a blanket. Finally, we were able to lift him and get him inside the truck. We drove him to the vet, and they brought a gurney out, and we had to roll him into the gurney. And as he was going in, he had a fifth one. And with cluster type seizures, even with a person, there could be a lot of brain damage done, especially how long they were lasting. He was like yelping. He was completely weak. His legs weren't working. So we had to make the decision of what to do. So we were talking to the vet, and I said, he's never had a seizure that we've known of. I did notice though in the last couple of years, like he'd be sleeping, which I thought they were like puppy dreams, but sometimes they would go on longer than what would I think normally be expected. So maybe he was having little petite mal seizures back then. And I noticed about 5-6 days ago he was sleeping, and it was like a puppy dream, but it was a little bit more. He was a little more like tremoring and shaking, and it went on for a distant at least minute and a half. And I remember watching him and thinking, okay, what is this? Is this a dream or something else? But anyways, the vet was great. She's like, he's 13. He probably has some type of brain damage now, or some neurological damage. His back legs still weren't working. And so we made the choice to put him down, which was just awful because she had to sedate him too because he was so uncomfortable. So when they brought him in to see us, he was already like passed out, sedated. So it was like we didn't even get to see him or whatever while he was like conscious. So it was pretty awful. It was Monica's baby, and we just lost Charlie a year, and I think we lost Charlie June 17th of last year, and now just a little over a year duly. So yeah, we put him down and we're gonna get his ashes. But the doctor was like, basically either at that age it could be toxicity, like if he ate something, but I mean, he's in the front yard the whole time. We have the door open. When I walk him, I make sure, he didn't have any diarrhea. He never threw up. So I was like, there's no way it was some type of toxicity. She's like, either a brain tumor, or he could have been possibly diabetic and was low blood sugar. But I mean, he always got his food. So anyways, yeah, pretty sad. One of the greatest dogs we've ever had. He'd never had an accident in his life in the house, except when he had the seizure and he urinated himself. But it's been pretty rough for Monica the last few days. So she's just getting a little better every day, but she vacuumed, what was it, yesterday, and she said it just tore her apart because it was like the last of him and some of his fur and stuff. So now we just have the kitty, and we don't even know how old she is, but she's gotten kind of thin. She's put on a little more weight. We've been giving her some tuna along with her like kibble, and she's definitely put on some more weight. She acts normal, but it could be her kidneys too. We got to get her checked out, but we don't even know. She could be 14, 15 years old, maybe older. So anyways, so that's what's going on. We're gonna take a trip down south end of this month just to get away. I had some vacation time, so head down south for a few days, get some more sunshine down there. But yeah, it's absolutely beautiful out right now. I was indoors working all day. But I think there's a south swell starting to fill in. There's it's actually a hurricane now, south of Hawaii. So I think that swell is starting to kind of hit Southern California. And I think we'll get a little bit this week, but we don't get the south swells. They kind of dissipate by the time I get up here. But anyways, so I'm gonna walk. I like this area of Morro a lot, on this side of the one, the west side of the one. Some beautiful houses. A lot of these houses too right here are vacation rentals. You'll see signs in the yard for vacation rentals. But the campground looks kind of empty right now, but I'm sure by next weekend it'll be packed. Probably a lot of people left today. I get so confused on what day is what, because my Monday is a Friday and I work 10-hour shifts. I work 4 10s. I work over the weekend, which I kind of like because tomorrow's my Friday. So if we want to go out and do anything, hotels are cheaper. Even when we're going down south, a hotel, we got a good deal on a hotel. I go through my sister for friends and family, but this hotel is usually a lot more expensive. But since it's a Tuesday through the week, we got a pretty good deal on it. But yeah, I like it. You go to restaurants, nothing's packed. Oh, it's a little busier, I can see down there for RVs. Yeah, I was hoping, since there's no wind, I was hoping to get a glass off, maybe get a surf in. There's definitely a little bit of wave, like, I don't know, 3 to 4 feet maybe, but it's pretty disorganized. Maybe in about an hour, hour and a half, it doesn't get, yeah, it should be still light by then. I'll check it. This neighborhood's great. I had a walk too. I had a sandwich and my blood sugar was kind of high. I got this new Libra 3 Plus continuous glucose monitor. So at first my insurance wouldn't approve it because I'm not a type 1, but I get lows a lot. So my doctor said, no, because you get lows, we could probably get you one. But I've been running kind of high, so I may have been running high for a little bit. So I got to cut my carbs, get a little more walking in. So we used to have an RV, and we actually lived in one for about 9 months, and we absolutely loved it. It was in Cambria. It was an old RV park, and it had been shut down for a long time, and this guy bought it. And he had like modular homes in there too, but then there was RV spots. So we moved in there, and they promised like full electricity, all this stuff. The thing is we're the county here. You can only stay at spots for like 3 months, and then you gotta leave for like a day or so, then you can come back if the park will have you come back. And a lot of them will if you're long term. But we absolutely loved it. We bought a brand new one. It was like 30 feet, I think 33 feet with a tongue. And it was cozy. We sold all our furniture. We sold everything. And we had Charlie and Dooley. And we were there for about, at the Cambria place. So they didn't have electricity. They never ended up getting it. Oh, they did have one where you had to do a long cord and plug in, but then people were running. It was a pain in the ass. And we had a hotspot for internet because Monica worked from home. And I got a generator. So I'd run a generator at night. And but yeah, it just came to like they were lying, they were bullshitting, and his whole plan was to just get people paying some type of rent. The rent was cheap though. I think we paid like $400. But yeah, his whole plan was to get like modular type homes, which the whole place is that now. And he just wanted some people paying rent. But what pissed us off was the lies. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be an RV park, blah, blah, blah. We ended up taking it to San Miguel, which is way over the hill, and it was super hot because it was during the summer. And Monica said it wasn't too bad for her, but the dogs would just like pant because it would be like 100 degrees out there. And let me turn it over here. But it would be about 80 in the RV, which is just uncomfortable. So we saw an apartment came for rent here in Morro, overlooking the Embarcadero. So we put the RV in a storage facility here in Morro, and we lived in that apartment for about a year, and then we found a house in Cambria, and it was only $1,600 I think we paid for that house. Like I said, now everything's like doubled and tripled. It's crazy. But we loved it. If there would have been a spot that we had over here by the coast that we could have stayed full time, we would have kept doing it. It was total minimalist living. We just had the furniture that was in the RV. I had a couple surfboards. We had just our clothes and a few things here and there. And yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. But I ended up, we left it in storage. And when I retired working for the state, when we moved down to San Diego, we left it up here. And then COVID hit, and we brought it down to San Diego. And the place we were living at, they were like, I don't know, they were apartments, but they were like single level, like little houses. They used to supposedly be the barracks for the military school for I don't know if it was the teachers or if it was for the actual military people, but it had a pool, backyards. It was really cool, and they let us store it there. And I think they only charged us like 50 or 100 a month or something. So we stored the RV there, and then it was during COVID, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna sell this thing. It's just too much to have. And we were getting offers for like a lot of money for it, but a lot of people said, oh yeah, we'll drive down and get it, but they never show up. Anyways, a young couple looked at it, and they said it was the nicest one they've seen. People were totally trying to overcharge and rip people off. I literally sold it for what I owed on the loan. I could have got more, but I'm glad it went to a cool family. They had a little kid. So we got rid of it. But we always talk about down the line when we retire, I'd love to get one again and just live in one and travel the US. Maybe we even talked about just get a little tiny apartment, a cheap one somewhere as a home base, and just travel. But when we want to come home, have a place to stay. So back in the day, Monica's mom and dad were both working at Atascadero State Hospital where I worked, and they had a friend that had a house in this neighborhood, and they were going to sell it to him, I think for 20 grand or 25 grand, and they didn't do it. You probably can't find anything under 750, 800 now. It's a really beautiful neighborhood. So we're on that side over there by the hill. But this is a good little walk, this loop. So I gotta work tomorrow. Tomorrow's my Friday. Then I'm off for 3 days. The surf's supposed to get bad again, I think, with wind. And then the days I work next week is supposed to get good and clean. And Monica's got to work tomorrow too. And then she starts a new job Thursday right across a parking lot from me. So that'll be cool. We actually may be kind of collaborating, working together. Actually, we will if she works the days I work. She'll be like on call though. So the end of these little streets, look at that view. We started watching this guy's YouTube channel that walks in LA. I think it's called Walking in LA. And he walks with a buddy of his or something, and they're all different parts, and they just kind of chat and talk. But so he did one in Hollywood, and it was so funny because I think he's been there for a decent amount of years. But I mean, me and Monica were there for years, and I was there from like 91 to 2019, end of 2019. And he was walking and talking about certain buildings or bars and restaurants, but most of them were gone. And there was a lot that we knew so much more history about it, and we're like, we got to do a video down there, walking Sunset, like in the West Hollywood area and all the way through, because I used to work so many of those nightclubs. I was a doorman for a number of years right on Hollywood and Vine. I worked at a nightclub called Basque for about 3 or 4 years, and before that it was called Deep, and it was a big celebrity hub. The owner of the club used to be an actor. He'd been in like Platoon, Gettysburg, and he was friends with a lot of celebrities and stuff. So I can't remember who it was. One of the investors in the club was God, who was he? He was a director. I can't think of his name right now. But anyways, it was a real hot club. I worked the door there for about a year, and then he sold it. It was kind of, its time was coming, and he sold it to these guys. Actually, a guy that I've been friends with for a long time, this promoter, Brad, and him and his brother and a couple other guys bought it. It was called Basque. And it was really hot for, a year, and then like all clubs, 6 months to a year, they fizzle out. But he kept it going, and then I got into real estate and I quit, and like 6 months later it burnt down. And it was kind of suspicious. It was definitely arson. They caught on camera some guy running out, and the fire had started in the attic. So yeah, but they don't know if it was, they cleared the guys that own the club, but they think maybe the property owner or something, because he wanted to sell the property and turn it into a parking lot or condos or something. Now it's a parking lot. But that was back in the day, around 2006, I think, when that burned down. You can look it up. Basque, like Basque in Spain, the Basque people, Basque, Basque nightclub fire. I think there's some YouTube videos of it on fire. Yeah, Hollywood just seems a little different now too. And from what I understand, there's a few clubs here and there, but it's not like it used to be. Just club after every block. There's a club, a bar. And then I used to bartend and work the door at one of the oldest bars in LA. It was called the Coach and Horses. It was on Sunset. It was actually right across the street from the was it a 7-Eleven? I think it was a 7-Eleven, or they don't have Circle K's anymore. I think it was a 7-Eleven. It's still there. Where Hugh Grant hooked up with that hooker and got busted. We were literally right across the street from that. But it was such a cool little bar. It was just a little full liquor, no food. We had an old school cash register. We didn't take credit cards. We had a ATM machine in the back. So it was so easy. There was no like chargebacks. There was no credit cards getting missed. You just, all you'd hit was the amount, boom, and give them change. And we used to get a lot of actors, a lot of rock people from bands. Jason Momoa used to come in all the time. I worked a Saturday day shift I bartended, and then I'd come back at night and bounce the front door. But Momoa used to come in religiously on a Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember what day it was. And also the guy from the Vikings, Travis, God, I can't remember his last name. He's the guy that played the King, Australian guy. Super, super, super cool, down to earth. You just sit there and drink Guinness. There'd be nobody in the bar, play like some video game type thing. Just I'd rap out with him. And then he was friends with Momoa, and this is when Momoa was, I think, just on some TV show. I think it wasn't Baywatch either, it was some other one, but it was nothing big. He wasn't even known, but he was huge. I remember he was a big dude, and he was super cool. He would tip really well. Travis tipped well. Really good guys. They would just hang out for a couple hours, have some Guinness, just about every Saturday or Sunday. Really nice guys. But that bar, the lady that owned it, she was crazy as hell. She I think she had 3 boys, and all of them were dead. I think one died of a drug overdose or a drug deal. He either got shot or OD'd. I think one did get murdered in a drug deal. So this, real quick, this is a cool little park right here. I think I did a video of this walking down. I biked over here. But it has a little parking lot, bathrooms. But yeah, one died in a drug deal. The other one committed suicide because the word was that he caught his mom sleeping with his high school friends. And then the other one, how did he die? I think he died in a car wreck or something. I mean, it was pretty tragic, but she was just an evil woman. She thought everyone was trying to rip her off. She was paranoid. I remember one shift I was working, it was when Momoa and Travis were in there, and they wanted change. They gave me like a 20. They wanted change for the jukebox. So I hit the register, and there was a camera right above the register looking down, so it would film you. And she's like, "You didn't hit any like $6, I said, "Yeah, I was getting change." And so she went in there and counted the money. She was nuts. I remember when I quit, I was just like, I'm out of here, have a good one. But I was there for, I don't know, a year or two maybe. And then she actually owned the building, and right next door was an Indian restaurant. She owned the building, not the business. But you could order food, walk over, order food, and they'd bring the Indian food, and it was really good Indian food. But that place had so much history. There was like Brando used to go in there, and he'd bring his Harley and park it right in the middle. And it was totally haunted too. And I don't know if it had anything to do with their kids or what, but it was so haunted. It was weird. You'd walk in the back to get supplies, and you just feel like somebody was watching you. And when you turn off the lights, there was so many stories of like a dark shadow figure that'd move around. Glasses would move, bottles would just fling off the bar. So yeah, it was weird. But I don't even know if she's still alive. And she was probably, to be honest with you, she was a really good looking older woman. And from what I understood, she was a knockout when she was younger. But I heard she was cheating on her husband all the time. And then when they divorced, she took a bunch of his money and she bought that bar. I think like in the 80s. And then she bought the building. It was actually the bar and the Indian restaurant were one building, but they were so close together. They looked like the buildings were all connected. It looked like one long building. But she sold it, and she was going to sell it to her niece, because everybody would hit her up all the time when, you know, if you want to get rid of it, we'll buy it. But I think she just sold the whole building, and now I don't even know what it is, but it's not that, because they walked by it the other day. And I heard it closed some years ago, but it was kind of like an English pub, but super dark inside, narrow, narrow little bar, some booze, bar stools, super dark. It was great. Oh, some planes, what are they doing? But it was a cool job, man. I'd get there like to bartend. So like the night shift would start at 10 to 2. And there was nights when, I mean, on average, never made under like 200. It was like 200 to 700. Sometimes we'd even make more. There was nights, I remember, I don't know if it was New Year's Eve or something, walked away with like almost $1,000 because people just throwing you money. It was crazy. So yeah, even when I bounced, like the night shift, there was a guy that worked during the day, and then if I worked the front door, I'd get there at 10, probably get out of there by 3 by the time everybody cashed out. When I bartended, about the same thing, get out of there about 3. But yeah, the money was good, no food, no credit cards, no computers, just an old school cash register. It was great. Yeah, like I said, watching that guy's video, he obviously hadn't been there nearly as long as me and Monica had been there. Especially the heyday of like early to mid 90s when the nightclubs, and it was just when like paparazzi and TMZ and all that stuff was starting, like late 90s. So there wasn't like a lot of, there was paparazzi, but it wasn't like, it was just starting to get going like late. Well, actually, I'd say probably early 2000s more. But it was like that 90210 era heyday, and when there was actually shows on television. So it was some good times. I had a good friend who, a couple good friends that were pretty established in the club business. So I'd work their VIP doors a lot for them, or just if we went to any type of club, we always got hooked up because it was connected. It was one of their nights. It was a lot of fun. But it's funny though, just so many clubs and so many people we know, you know, left LA. Some are passed away, which is kind of weird too, because getting at that age now where, you know, some people get sick or something happens. That's always strange. There was a girl that I used to work with for a number of years at the nightclub Bass, well, Deep End Bass. She was a cocktail waitress, Melissa. Just a sweet, really pretty girl. She was younger than all of us, so God, I had to have been like late 20s, early 30s. I think in my early 30s, and she was like 21. But I think in 2021, it was either 21 or no, it was 21, I believe. 21 or 22, she passed away of lung cancer, and she was only 40. And it just shocked me because another girl that I'm pretty good friends with, her and her husband, they live in Louisiana now, but she was really good friends with her, and Melissa had moved she had moved to Florida, and yeah, just had this nagging cough. She smoked, I remember, like during the club days, but not like a habitual smoker. I think just like a social smoker. So I don't know if that caused it or if she just came down with it, but yeah, it was pretty sad. Yeah, so it's, as we get older, more and more people. I just saw today that Lonnie Anderson died, and I didn't meet her. Well, did I meet her? Did he introduce me to her? I don't remember. I don't think I actually met her, because I think he was going through the divorce with her. But I worked on God, what was the show called? I was the stunt double for the football scene because I played football for Scott Wolf. Evening Shade. So I used to do the stunt work on Evening Shade for the quarterback football scenes because he was a coach. And Bert was like the coolest, nicest guy. Like, so down to earth. And it was weird because I grew up with him. He was the big movie star, huge star of the 80s. All those movies he did. Smokey and the Bandit, all them. But he was the nicest guy. He had a horrible toupee though. And he played football either Florida or Florida State. I think he was a running back and then he got hurt. I think his freshman year or something. But he was seriously like so down to earth, so nice. If they were going to get renewed another season, he was going to bring me on and as one of the football players, as a character actually, not even just the stunt. So it was awesome. I got to meet him just before the show was announced it was getting canceled. Like I said, just great guy. But Lonnie came on one time and dropped off their kid, and I was standing right next to him. She was really pretty, and they were getting along. I mean, but I think they were, I don't remember, but it was around 94 maybe. So I think they were starting to maybe already split up or something. Maybe not. But anyways, yeah. People we grew up watching passing away. I was just looking at surfline.com today at Hawaii. South Shores is going to get some huge waves in the next few days. There's a category 3 just south of Oahu. And my sister, her daughter, her granddaughter, and her other daughter. My mom was going to go, then she decided not to go, but they're heading to Oahu Wednesday for like a week. And they're going to have some pretty good surf hitting there. I don't think they're going to get any of the bands. It's pretty far south, but it's definitely sending a huge south swell up. So that's a dog park right over there. You see like the tennis courts. There's a really cool dog park right over there. And a school over here. Yeah, but I was looking at the camera for Waikiki. Man, that water is just so aqua blue. We were thinking about trying to go, but Monica's starting this new job and I don't have a ton of time on the books right now for vacation and just the cost of everything. So we decided just to we're gonna go down to Southern California. We're actually gonna go down to Anaheim, maybe hit Disneyland one day at the end of this month sometime. At least we'll get some sunshine, hit the pool. Beach is right over there, so we just did a loop. Well, that's it for today. I'll probably put some pics of Dooley up. Look like a big polar bear. And like I said, he was probably one of the greatest dogs we've ever had. He was just a gentle giant. Very protective though. Like, he was a lab, but he'd get very protective if anyone got too close that he didn't trust. But just a gentle giant. Never had an accident in the house. Just a sweetheart. Alright guys, hope you guys have a good night.